Hello, everybody, and welcome to Made in New England interview series, where we talk with New England-based companies and the people who lead them. I'm your host, Steve DeVries, and today I am joined by Mr. John Shaw, the CEO of Itaconix Corporation. John, welcome to the show.
Morning, Steve. Great to be with you.
Great, great. So thanks for joining us. Would you maybe kick us off with a little bit of background as to who you are and what your business does?
I'm the CEO and co-founder of Itaconix. We make plant-based specialty ingredients that go into a wide range of consumer products. I've spent my career really bringing new materials in various forms out of laboratories and into the commercial market. Itaconix itself was founded when I met my co-founder, Dr. Yvonne Durant, who was a research professor at the University of New Hampshire. We met at the Holloway Business Plan competition at the University of New Hampshire, where Yvonne had put one of his students into the competition with a business plan to create green polymers. I was there, and I was always looking for new opportunities in specialty materials. We met a couple days later, and 3 months later, back in September 2008, right in the middle of a very severe economic downturn, we launched Itaconix in 2008, and we've been off and running ever since.
So you launched in 2008. What would you say has driven your success to this point, John?
We've gone through about 3 phases of development. I'd say that the first stage was kind of exploratory. The polymers that we make are made, the monomer is itaconic acid. I'm not a scientific person. My last hard science class was in high school. I didn't do very well at it, but I've spent most of my career in specialty materials. So think of a monomer as a pearl, and then a string of pearls as a polymer. So itaconic acid has been a highly sought after monomer. It's generally available in the market, but making polymers of itaconic acid had been sought since the 1960s. Pfizer filed a patent in 1960 to polymerize it. It was a 30-hour process to get to an 80% yield, so it's not economically viable. Roman Haas, which was a leader in acrylic acid polymers, they filed a patent in 1993. It was a 7-hour process, still only to an 80% yield. And what Dr. Durant came up with is a process that we run here right at our factory right here. It's about less than an hour to a 95% plus conversion to create so it was fundamentally an economic breakthrough. At first, we thought the phase one was just thinking, oh, we have a green version of how acrylate polymers are used. And acrylate polymers is a $20 billion market. You see them every day in everything that you do. There's acrylic paint. On the walls here, I'm sure, is acrylic paint. And every diaper has super absorbents made from acrylic polymers. And then in a wide variety of consumer products and industrial applications, water-soluble acrylates are used. Total of that $20 billion market potential. And we thought, well, we just have a green version of an acrylate, and we had great success early on to get to probably 2013 or so. So we got a lot of green detergent companies. We got quite a bit of sales, but then we kind of plateaued and had to rethink, what do we really have? What's the unique functionality that we have? That took us about 4 years. And then, so starting about 2017, 2018, we found the initial applications that we were going to focus on. And Steve, we've just been laser focused on the applications development side to say, we are going to win in one particular area. And that's what we're doing right now. We're a leader in replacing phosphates in automatic dish detergent pods, the little pods that you put in your dishwasher detergent. Phosphates were taken out for environmental safety reasons. Phosphates would go out into waterways. Algae would eat the phosphates, and then you get algae bloom that sucks up all the oxygen and kills all the fish. So phosphates were banned, and there really wasn't not been a great replacement for it. So we're now the leading replacement for it in a large segment of North America and a growing area in Europe, where we're able to bring safer chemistry. Actually, multifunctional chemistry so we can bring the size of the pods down and put less chemistry out into the world. And it happens to be plant-based. So the example I like to give, and it's just personally really pleasing because I spend Saturday, I go to the retail store and I go up and down and say, we're in this, we're in this, we're in this. And then that's the good day. On Sunday, I go back and I say, why aren't we in this? Why aren't we in this? And, you know, I'll have a little list for people today of how come we're not in these things. But but if typically, like if you go to a Hannaford's store, because it's a closest store here, once you take Cascade, which is Procter and Gamble, and you take Finish, which is Reckitt Benckiser and Seventh Generation, most of the other products on the shelf there were actually formulated right here based on our material.
Wow.
And what I particularly like about it is that it crosses the full range of consumer choices. So you may think that you're going to buy the greenest one with Palmolive's green detergent. And it's very high bio-based, a very special one. You may want the most powerful, best performing one with the Clorox one, or you may want to save money and use the Hannaford private label one. They all have their different market positions, a slightly different performance, but in all of them, you have plant-based content based on our product that's well over 50% on it. So regardless of what choice the consumer thinks they're making, underlying it is making the environment safer with safer chemicals, less chemicals, increasing the plant-based content. So we actually are sequestering carbon dioxide in the production process of what we do. We sequester carbon dioxide to help rebalance the carbon cycle for climate change. Not our primary purpose, but those are all the extra benefits. So all that gets, that keeps us very happy. And we've gotten to that stage. We now are well funded, growing 40% plus a year. So we're going off into all the other areas, the other hundreds of applications. And we're going to pick off a few of those so we could be $200 million company.
John, that's absolutely an amazing story. So, I mean, the green movement, right, is so prevalent in so many areas of our lives today. So to hear how your New Hampshire-based business is having such a huge impact on that, that's exciting stuff. So I want to switch gears for just a second.
Yeah.
In manufacturing, we love our metrics. So I'm wondering, are there any key metrics for your business that you can share that you like to pay attention to?
We have to compete against some very large chemical companies. Our breakthrough was about the economics of our process relative to other chemical processes. So you just think of this plant, we're competing against the economics of some other chemical plant, and we're competing against the economics of the formulations that come out of here. So we do the entire formulation in it. So we keep on the formulation side of it, it's always what can we do next year to bring the cost of the material down. In the industrial world, don't get caught up too much. The idea that anybody in the industrial world is going to spend more money is not a good business idea from my perspective. You want lower cost, better performance, and increased sustainability, and go after all three and challenge yourself to go after all three of them. And so we do that on the formulation side of it, and then on the production side of it, just straight metrics of what's your throughput, production rate per hour, what's your yield per hour, what are your raw material costs, what's your scrap rate. Keep a very, very close, tight one on that in terms of how do we increase, how many thousands of pounds we can make a day, and make sure every month you're increasing the amount of pounds you can produce per day.
I love that. So looking out into the future of your business, you mentioned you have this vision of $100 or $200 million a year in revenue. What excites you most about the future of the business?
One is just coming into work every day. We have a great group of people. We really work hard on innovation and how innovation for a team of our size works. A couple things. One is we have a process that actually we got awarded by Frost & Sullivan for how we run our stage gate. It's not a traditional stage gate.
Oh, interesting.
We find a customer problem, a problem that we think the customers have met. We go into our big technology platform and we say, oh, we think this chemistry can contribute this. And we actually, before we start the process, we write what would be on the packaging, because we're really consumer, what would be on the packaging? And if you could present this package to the consumer, would they pick this product or not? We need to work on extraordinary outcomes. Maybe other big chemical companies can work on okay ones, but we're a small. There has to be extraordinary. Where people go like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. I want this." So that starts our process. That we figure that out. Literally write the package of what we think the claims will be. We then turn the chemistry into a specific ingredient. Go out and what we get really important part we call first sale is go get 4 or 5 customers. We don't care how big they are, to just get it and get it out on the market so that they actually can see what's happening out there, to see if that will actually work, and the claim that we think will work on the shelf actually does it. And I don't care if we just sell $3,000 worth or not, to actually have a claim on it. Mm-hmm. So now that we can get ignition. Then we go to traction and say, all right, now that we have 5 customers, let's go get 20 customers. And they see the value of it. And you start validating the market. And then slowly you build up and become a critical ingredient for success on that space of shelf. And that's where we're getting to an automatic dish. That's our takeoff stage, where all of a sudden the orders just start coming in on it. So just taking ourselves through that process and finding new opportunities is great. And we have our chemistries can go off into many areas. Anything acrylic polymers are used for, bio-based paint, plant-based super absorbents for diapers. I mean, we're working in I think our addressable market right now is about 3 billion. We want to increase it to 5 billion in terms of the applications we can go after. And we're just going to keep running that process of innovation.
That unique stage gate process is what allows you to become that laser focused expert on that particular offering. So I find that really unique about your business. So congratulations for that.
Yeah, a good chunk of our sales, and we actually track it. One of the key, we have 4 metrics that we run the company on. One is team satisfaction, which is every year, does every member of the team have the resources and direction that they need to be successful? Number 2 is, are we a key contributor or customer success? So we actually go through our revenues and say, could our customer gotten that package out on the market without us or without our material? And it's right now it's about, it's a very high percentage of our sales, and that we'd like it always to be higher. Then the last one, the third one that's important to me is the this is the addressable market. We're always trying to increase our addressable market. And then the fourth one is we call is revenues per 1,000 households in Europe and North America. So our goal is to have, we want to get to $300 per 1,000 households in North America and Europe. And that's because I just go through the house and say, we should be in this, we should be in that. Right now we're in automatic dish, hairstyling, odor control, carpet cleaning. We're in 170 different brands right now around the world. We need to grow that to 500 to 1,000 and just keep infiltrating all the applications. But the metric is what our revenue per 1,000 households is on it. So we have very clear metrics and just keep building out. What's great about it, Steve, is that we get recurring revenues. Our first customer was in 2009. Within 16 months of starting the company, we had our first customer. They're still our customer. They're still growing as a customer 15 years later. So you get this wonderful recurring revenues built in. It's like having an annuity as you get into those 170 brands, and you just keep building it brick by brick and just keep running the railroad on it.
That metric of revenue per 1,000 households is amazing, and I'm hoping that a lot of our listeners grab a hold of that, because that's a really unique way to look at how to position your business. So I really enjoyed hearing about that. So let's talk about concerns for the future. What headwinds do you see coming down the line for your business or industry things that concern you that maybe you need to think about and plan for?
In the sustainability space, there's a lot of people who, regulators who think they know chemistry.
Mm,
There's a lot of state legislatures. There's a lot of federal government legislatures that think that they're trying to make the world a better place by putting restrictions on, getting more aggressive about restrictions on chemistries. Chemistry in general is considered a bad name. I
mm.
was at a unnamed store in Portsmouth last week, and they actually had they were talking about how wonderful they were, and they had a shelf of soap, of natural soaps, and in it it said chemical free. And I'm saying, I actually had to talk to the store manager and say, I'm sorry, water is a chemical. You that it's chemical free. You're using palm oil as a base. I mean, everything is chemistry. Water is chemistry.
Yeah.
So I think there are legitimate issues like forever chemicals, like PFAS, that people gives chemistry a bad name. But remember, everything that we do is chemistry. The other issue we have is we make polymers. Now, every plastic is a polymer, but not every polymer is a plastic. So we're continually fighting the idea that polymers are bad. I'm like, well, Steve, I mean, a piece of paper, that's a polymer. A tree is a polymer. Our skin is a polymer. I mean, polymers is what make up life on it. And plastics is a very small, little, tiny segment of it, and it gets a bad name on it. So the other ones are restrictions going in, like we don't want any polymers, we don't want any chemicals, and it's just not realistic. I mean, it's like almost fairy tale to think that we could do it. We actually had someone call up, so brands call us for help, and someone called and they said, well, we don't want any chemicals, and we want it to all be organic and plant-based, and we want it to work better than the leading than the leading laundry detergent, the Procter and Gamble laundry detergent, and I want it to cost less money. I'm like, yeah, I want a puppy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like. I don't know where you think you're coming from. So part of that is is just the reality of exactly how the world works. And Steve, particularly with your focus on manufacturing, I think a lot of the population does not understand how manufacturing works, how important it is, where do things come from, how important things that are in front of us come from, how important that some of those are made locally, how they're made in North America on it, and how important it is to our economy, to our food security, to our everyday lives on it. So those are the ones that, between chemistry, polymers, and just an appreciation for manufacturing, how important it is that we do it. And manufacturing is a huge source for jobs that drive the economy. That's what's driven the New Hampshire economy for many, many decades. So I hope there's a continued focus of what it takes to grow our economy.
Well, that's why we're here to talk about these things and to help educate people. So I really appreciate you sharing all of that, particularly about the chemistry. That was something that I guess I hadn't considered in the past, but it makes complete sense. So John, with just a little bit of time left, a couple of quick questions. Number one, any advice for any budding business leaders, especially ones maybe here in New England that are beginning their career or in the middle of their career with, big things in their sights? What kind of advice would you give to those people?
Well, I really enjoy working with younger people. My brother David Shaw, who helps build IDEX Laboratories up in Portland, Maine,
Mm,
and he graduated from the University of New Hampshire. We've gone back to the university and helped. I helped early on with the development of the entrepreneurial center up there, and specifically what we do for sophomores is we run a program called the Innovation Explorers, and just so people learn how innovation happens. And it's not business. Innovation happens in every walk of life. Musicians are innovator, artists are innovators, nonprofits innovate, nurses do everywhere. So we really like to highlight how innovation happens and the personal stories in it. The one that I always focus on is just have lots of ideas. I maintain a list of 20 ideas at all times. Some of that is earlier in my career. I didn't know whether I was going to be able to keep my job or get another job. So I always kept a list of 20 ideas. And then I'm brutally honest about what the best idea is. Never, ever, ever fall in love with an idea. And have a long list of ideas so you don't fall in love with your first one. And you take your first one and you interrogate it as hard as you possibly can to see and convince you, like you try to make it a bad idea. And if it survives that interrogation, then it's a good idea. The number one I always tell people is the three most important numbers in your business plan are the telephone numbers of your first three customers. So you may think you have a great idea, but even when someone comes to me ideas, they give me the telephone numbers because I'm going to call them. And just like we talked about in our stage gate process, that claim that you think you're going to make with your new product, it better be a decisive claim that are going to change customers' buying behavior. And if it isn't, it's a very hard sell, particularly if it's extraordinary. So I always think about that as have lots of ideas, never fall in love with one. Take the first one, beat it up as hard as you can, and make sure that you have the telephone numbers of the first three customers, that as soon as you have it available on your shipping dock, they're going to call and order it. If you don't have that, life gets very difficult very fast.
Very true. John Shaw from Itaconix, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today. I hope everybody that's listening or watching has taken as much value from this conversation as I have. Really appreciate it. And thanks for joining us on Made in New England.
Steve, great work. Thanks.
Thank you. Take care.